next on our list of things to do is, okay, well, there's a few things we still need to do. We still need to make it so that when I put water into the flower, it gradually grows, which is on its own pretty chill. And I believe there's one more thing, but it'll come to me once I have finished the flower. But yeah, for now, let's make it so that once I have all the water in this little bucket here, I can move to the flower and plant it, and grow it slowly but surely. Now let's go back to the editor and let's click on the flower. Click edit and go to behaviors. Now inside of here, we're going to have a number. This number is going to represent the phase of the flower. So the basic phase 0 is pretty much going to be, okay, there is nothing in the pot. And the last phase, which I believe will be 4, depending on the animation sequence, will be when the flower is actually grown. Okay, super cool. Let's go to the animation editor. Let's go to grow. Let's make a new animation. Call it flower growth. Okie dokie. Now let us add a lot more frames here. Each of these frames is going to be a different growth period in the cycle of the flower. Now let's just remove the last one here. Okie dokie. We could play it actually too. And this is what it looks like when a flower grows. Super cool. Now, starting at the current frame here, behaviors here. So we've known that the animation sequence starts at the first index, index 1, which means when we want to increase the index, we need to add it by 1. We need to increase this by 1. So let's go into the expression, do the same thing we did before, except this is 1 input. This is out of 1 here. And we must also evaluate this. And then we want to say, okay, with the given animation of the flower growth, we want to say, okay, put at this frame. Perfect. This will naturally work. As long as this phase changes depending on the flower's growth, this will make the flower look differently. What we need to do is say, okay, whenever I do this, and by this I mean whenever I put the bucket filled with water onto the flower, I set the phase, and I increase the phase by 1. Which means we're going to need to be sending a signal from whenever the bucket is filled with water hits the flower. So let's generate, okay, there's a few ways of doing this, but let's you know what, actually, let's just do the way that we know will work. So we'll say, okay, we have a global variable. This global variable is going to be called amount of water in bucket. This will be a number. We'll say, okay, this global variable, when this is at, when this is greater than or equal to, when it's greater than or equal to the maximum amount that we need to fill it. So I believe that is 4 or 5. I want to say that this is 5, so I'm going to say, I'm going to say 4 for now, actually. Yeah, I'm going to say 4 for now, and we will we'll double check afterwards. But when this is at a certain threshold, we will pass. We will increase the phase by 1, by the way, because it always starts at phase of 0. So we'll say, okay, we'll get this, oh my goodness, get this number that is set at 1 and increase the phase. And we will we'll output this animation. Actually, 1 second. And this also happens when we collide with the bucket, by the way. So we will add a collision system that says, okay, when the bucket collides, get the global amount of water and check at the threshold. And then if the threshold is worthy enough, we will increase the phase of the water. Feels like we're on the moon right now. So, okay, this is good, which means we are getting the right value. So let's actually set this to be, let's just set this to always be 4 for now. So we'll get a number here. We'll actually add it here, get a number, 4, out, set, and then we'll say get, set and get, and then, okay. When it collides, it'll simulate as if this was a full bucket of water. Okay, so now it didn't actually do anything here. Neither did it do it on the second time, neither on the third time. And I'm noticing that this isn't actually working the way I want it to. Well, it's a good thing that we tested it. So I believe it's because the stay on the last frame when done wasn't checked. So let's restart and see if anything happens differently. Okay. And I've also come to understand that I know what the problem is, because we are not adding this by 1. We're literally just saying this is going to be 1. Now, when we do what we were doing before, okay, it will grow slowly but surely, and there we go. We're good now. We get the flower. Now we need to make it so that, oh my goodness, I'm super fast. I really don't know why. Like, that is so weird. It's when I tap it too. That's so funny. Anyways, now this does work theoretically. Now we need to make sure that it works whenever the bucket is at max capacity. And this is actually, surprisingly, extremely easy to do, because you see this global variable isn't only affected in the bucket, but it's also affected outside. Oh, sorry, it's not only affected in the flower, but it's also affected in the whole game. So pretty much in this bucket is able to affect the global variable. So if we go to logic and math, go to global variable, go to the amount of water in the bucket, we will set it to this amount of water here every time. And then we can literally just say, okay. And another quick thing, we also want to make it so that if the bucket collides with the flower at max capacity, we no longer want to have water in the bucket, just so that we can't just spam grow this flower with all this water. So we want to say, okay, when I collide with the flower, I want to say, does the global variable, okay, does this global variable does this global variable of amount of water in the bucket, does this, well, actually, and real quick, we actually want to replace this number, this original number, with this amount of water global variable, because there's honestly no need to set it when we can literally just replace it. So here we go, here we go, and here we go. Okay, there we go. So does this global variable, does this have what it takes to grow the plant? Which means, is this greater than or equal to 4? It's greater than 4. We really should check if 4 is the right number here, but we will stick with this for now. Is this greater than or equal to 4? If it is, And then we want to reset the amount of water, but we want to reset it after a little delay, so that the flower has time to use this number here. So we want to say, okay, after a little timer here, a fraction of a second, we want to say, okay, as long as it passes, we can reset. Now we want to say, okay, the initial amount of water that we need, the bucket is always going to be 0 because we've used up all the water once we have planted it, or once we have used it to grow the flower. So we want to say, okay, let's generate a number that is 0 and set this to the amount of water in here. And once that happens, we can then get it, and then we can make it into the empty bucket animation. Okie dokie. Let's test it out right now, shall we? Yeah, this game is extremely hard to play because of the movement system. I'll need to figure out why that's bugging out, to be honest. And it looks like 4 isn't the right amount. It is actually 5, so let us actually fix that real quick. Goodness me. I'm glad I found that out now, because yeah, that would be a pain to have a future of this, but okay. So back in the behavior, and okay, so now, in theory, the game should work. Let's collect all of these raindrops. This one collected, this one, this one is collected, this one is collected. There we go, we got all the raindrops. So let's go into here and let's plant the flower, and oh my goodness, look at that. It's worked perfectly. And I have gone above the clouds into the stratosphere. Let's go back down. Now we can keep doing what we just did. Hopefully. Okay, yep. Keep doing what we just did. We can, collect some water. There we go. Boop and boop. Oh my goodness. It's almost full flower. This is great. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Now this is, and actually let's just do it with 6 in here, might as well. Or, oh, we have 7 in here, which is convenient. And now we will make the tulip. There we go. And that is, that's the game, right? And of course, there are minor details that could be tweaked, like the movement system, to make it actually possible to move around normally. But that is, this is pretty much the game. And this is also a lot of what any Flow Lab game developer would really need to make a good game, right? You have the camera system, the physics, a lot of the different timer systems, and yeah, this is how to make the game of the Raindrop game. So yeah, thank you for watching.